So this is the call to action. We talked about all this. This is just the fact that you know, for every dollar you invest, you're going to get $3 back. This is some actual work, and the reference here is to this paper that was in Medical Care that Catherine was the first author on, where they go through. Though this is not the paper I'm thinking of. For people who are really interested in digging into this, they have a great paper where they do, as I was mentioning, Paul, they do the simulation for different types of work environments, different turnover rates, different salary levels, so you can actually see for your organization, does this make sense or not? So you can make a more informed decision. So rather than just peanut buttering, this is good for everybody, from an employer's perspective, this helps you say, well, given my work environment, my employees, their age, their skill level, et cetera, et cetera. So that simulator, I think, is really an important thing that they offer. And there are at least 3 ways to not realize the return on investment. So you can see we try to give a very balanced presentation. So you say you shouldn't purchase a program expecting a return if the data indicate that your organization has no potential for a return. And there's that website again. So you can go in and put the information about your employment environment in that website, and it, based on the simulation that Catherine did and other work that I think the American Psychiatric Association has done, all that's been peer reviewed, you can actually see, does this make sense? Does this make sense for me? And I think that helps a little bit with the sort of the skepticism somebody was talking about in terms of coming back to your, you know, the HR person comes back all excited. Because here you can actually go do it and see whether or not it works for your employee. Don't purchase a program expecting a return if the program targets only employees who participate in disease management program. This is one of Catherine's big points that we don't always completely agree about. And that is that there have been recommendations, and in fact we did an earlier presentation in Fundamental Health, where you said that insist that a person who has any other chronic condition, so they got a heart condition, a cancer, they've got any other chronic condition, be screened for depression. Catherine heroically rejects that. And I think that she's probably right, because she thinks that this is the more prevalent condition. Everybody should be screened for it. And so she thinks if you only look at people who already have arthritis, for example, as people who get this care, you're going to miss the real opportunity here. So 50% of depressed employees are 40 years old or younger, so they're not likely. Remember what we said earlier about we think the depression comes first and then comes the diabetes and the heart disease? So if you're waiting for somebody to get diabetes or heart disease, you're missing a huge opportunity. And if you're only screening those people, the younger members of your workforce are the people who are getting sick and are going to get sicker, and to the degree to which that they stay in your pool are going to ultimately cost you more as an employer, both from their work productivity and the healthcare expenditures. And you'll lose your ROI if you don't purchase a program, if the program fails to provide evidence-based care. So you got to make sure that they actually do what they say they're going to do. And again, remember this slide where it says only 60% of depression care meets the work that Beth McGlynn did earlier. And so you've got to make sure that they actually do what they say they're going to do. Because sometimes there's sort of a flavor of the day in healthcare. So and those are just the points we talked about earlier. You've got to screen, educating and monitoring employees who screen positive, so you stay with them. In other words, we know how to do it, and that's the things that we should be looking for. And then here's the people who provide it: depression management vendors. There are companies that do this, managed behavioral health care organizations, EAPs, and some health plans, not as many as need to be. And this is my call for action: don't be a chump. Enlightened employers are increasingly realizing the importance of human capital investments. The notion is, don't, and I know this is probably easier to say than to do, but don't be a chump. You tell your insurance company, look, this is the state of the art, and if you guys aren't delivering this, number one, you shouldn't have to have a premium add-on to do what's basically sound care. And so get a little more assertive in the matter. Work with the vendors. And look for products that offer it, and preferentially buy them. Start to exert some of the market pressure that's necessary. You shouldn't settle for low-grade care at the prices you're paying. And my sense is, and again, who knows where this goes, and you know, Pam, how hard it is to change these things. But don't be resigned to it. Insist that, it's just like if your insurance company says, we don't You know, we don't believe in using antibiotics in our health program. So you'd say, what? You don't use antibiotics in your healthcare program? You'd say, well, you don't have a competent healthcare program, right? If you don't do that. It's like I said, well, if you're not doing this, given what we know about the development of chronic illnesses, what we know about productivity, you're not offering a competent healthcare program. And damn it, that, you know, I'm mad as hell when I'm not going to take it anymore. So don't be a chump. Demand it, and somehow it's getting people out of this state of resignation into action through being more assertive, and that evidence-based care should be included as the core benefit and supported. So right now, people say they're reticent to do it because it's basically buying another siloed disease management program, right? Which is like adding, and so it's cost additive, and or they have to be in a situation where they can have a organized healthcare system that offers it to them, and those just are not as available as they should be. But by pushing in this way, maybe we can start to move that system a little bit more quickly. And the National Business Coalition on Health, which doesn't, I don't think, have a chapter in the Palm Beach area, which is kind of surprising that there's not one in the Palm Beach, Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, because there's a lot of healthcare that gets consumed in this area of the country. But in other areas of the country where they're available, you could always start one of these. They offer help, and obviously MHAs like the MHA in Palm Beach is way ahead of the country and most of the other MHAs in terms of working in this area. But they can be valuable resources to help employers. And then there's this famous quote from Margaret Mead that you see all the time now: "Never doubt a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." So don't be resigned as an employer, and get out there and change the world, particularly you young people. You know, we're relying on you. Damn it, go get them. You know what I mean? So thank you all very much. This was great.